'Cause ain't nothing going on but the rent. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Modern Matrimony, where we discuss taboo topics that's centered around finances and relationships in order to help you and your loved ones build and maintain generational wealth. We're going to get started in just a second while we're waiting for everyone to come in. So I want to go over a few housekeeping rules with you all. The first thing is everyone here is welcome. So I know that it's called Modern Matrimony and people kind of confuse that with, hey, it's only for married people. That is not true. If you are single, separated, recently divorced, still in the streets, it does not matter. You are welcome here. Make sure you send an invite to anyone that you think that this can add value to. Send a reminder if someone was supposed to meet you in here. And, the second rule is going to be this is an interactive and safe space. So we want you all to ask questions. We want you all to have a good time in here, make jokes, interact with one another. If there is a question that requires just a little bit more care, that's okay. We may DM you later or just ask for a consultation, but this is a safe space. Once again, I want you all to be comfortable. And going back to rule number one, it's okay for everyone to be here. We want to be an interactive space. So go ahead, chat, share where you're from and your relationship status. Hey, if you're single or still outside looking, hopefully you find somebody in here. If not, we'll try again some other time. And we'll get started shortly. But what I want to do beforehand is just introduce myself to you all that I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet. My name is Delante Greer. I'm a financial planner with Opulentia. We're an independent registered investment advisory firm, which is just a really fancy way of saying that we can work with any broker dealer, insurance carrier, private equity firm, but we don't work for any of them, and therefore all of our conversations are going to be from an altruistic perspective, and we can have these types of conversations with you all and give you different comparisons and different options. And it's really important to us to have these things because after we talk to people initially about the monetary aspect of estate planning or financial plan or legacy building, what always comes up is the relationship. What do you do with the money? It's nice to have it, it's nice to look at, but how do you want to spend it? How do you want your family to spend it? And it often comes down to the quality of a relationship. And especially in today's day and age where people are more free about doing what they want to do and being who they want to be, it's important to really focus on lifestyle. And a couple that made that very clear to me a few years ago, and they've been very instrumental into the way my wife and I, how we see the world, how we live our lives, both personally and financially, have been the what I like to jokingly call the DMV Obamas. And I say that jokingly, but kind of serious. And it's really important for me to have them here with you all so that you all can also hear some of their stories, some of their insight, because I believe that it's really valuable in taking that next step in building generational wealth in our community. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring in Mr. Nicholas Abrams, CFP, and Mrs. Leah Abrams. If I could learn how to work this thing, that would be great.
Hey, good evening.
Hello, hello.
How's everybody doing?
Can you hear me, Dorothy?
I can hear and see both of you. Thank you for making the accommodations to be here with me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, yes. So I didn't want to steal you all's thunder. If you don't mind, just kind of give the audience a quick backstory as to who you all are, some things that you've done, and why you're here today.
You want to go ahead? All right, so I've been told to go ahead. The first rule of marriage, always follow orders. Hey, good evening, everybody. Hey, named Nick Abrams. Just a little bit about myself, born and raised in Baltimore. I am a graduate of the esteemed St. Mary's College of Maryland. It is a liberal arts school in Southern Maryland. I got BA in economics and also did a concentration in business. I've been in the financial services industry for 24 wonderful years. Started my own firm, Opulentia, in 2009. Worked for some other firms before then, but decided it was time to venture out on my own. So been in business with myself for a number of years, and been married since 2005 to this wonderful, beautiful lady sitting next to me. We have two kids, Nicholas the second, who is 16, and Aiden, who is 11. Um, just love what we do, love the business that I am, love helping people, seeing people achieve their financial goals, whatever it may be. And that's just a little bit about myself.
All right, that's enough about you. We came for Leah.
So it's my turn. Leah Abrams here. I've been in the accounting industry since 1999, so over 25 years. And I started my business in 2014. Actually, started a little bit in 2008 and then started in 2014. And and so from that point on, I started in public accounting, but the services that we provide are accounting, advisory, tax, and attestation. So for audits, if people don't understand what that is. And again, I have enjoyed doing what I do. It's because of the people. It's because I can see businesses grow from sometimes the beginning stages to a mid-sized firm. And so I'm very excited about helping those businesses understand the financial knowledge and grow in their financial abilities to discuss their business in the way that they understand it. And so that's where I don't have to tell you who I'm married to and how many children I have because Nick already said it. But we're excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
As am I. Before we get into the questions, I already told these people y'all are like the Obamas of the DMV. So I appreciate your humility, but let's just take a few seconds. I need y'all to flex a little bit because I could have swore y'all just won some awards. So just tell them a little bit about your backstory. You know, people need to hear that y'all do this. So give them a little taste. You don't have to tell them everything. Just a smidge.
So I will say this is something you might not even know, Delante. And I'll let Leah talk about her awards in a minute. But we are, besides each of us owning our own business, so she owns her own accounting firm, I own my financial planning firm. We also have a commercial real estate property in Baltimore that we are owners of. And we recently became part owners of a professional women's soccer team in Washington, D.C., DC Power. So really excited about that. So there's just a few of the things that we have ventured into from the business standpoint.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And Leah?
So I just received an award for Women in Business, Women in Finance Award, Woman of the Year, Women in Finance from the Women in Color magazine. And the person that was actually instrumental was the Dr. Tyrone Taborn. And super excited about that award. We went into Detroit, Michigan, actually our first time, and it was a wonderful experience. It was had a lot of awards for engineers, but it did have awards for finance, women in finance, and it was very humbling, and I was very very excited about all of it.
Well, congratulations on all of that. Shout out to Dr. T, by the way, for the hookup. And you all make sure you go support that soccer team as well. I'll start you off with a softball question, okay? And Nick always asks people this, so I'm gonna ask him this. How'd y'all meet? Were you with Nick for the money?
So I was dead broke when she met me. I was actually living at home with my parents when she met me. So what happened? My uncle is partner of a accounting firm, and I was renting office space from him at the time. And Leah came to work at the firm, and that's how we met.
Mm,
This was
fraternizing on the
back in
job.
2001.
Mm. Was that a part of company policy?
No, it
No,
wasn't part of company policy.
no, I'm joking.
Since I
It,
technically did not work for the firm, so I had no policy. Hey.
Hey, got to think outside the box. I'm with you. All right. And so you all started dating or whatever have you, started to build things up. Did you all both come from similar backgrounds?
No.
No, actually, our backgrounds were probably very different. I mean, he technically is an only child, and I'm a sibling of four. It's four of us. So, and we lived in the city near Morgan State University. Um, Single family. Well, it was actually townhome. I guess it's row home. And then it was just different lives. Both of my parents, my mom, she graduated, but she only got an AA degree, and my dad got his degree in accounting actually at Morgan State, like later on after he had my older sister. So very different. I think both his parents are graduates, college
Yeah.
graduates, and just different. Single family home, big yard, so different.
Yeah, so yeah, my mom, she was a teacher. She retired as a principal in Baltimore City school system. So she was in education. She graduated from Coppin for her bachelor, did her master's at Morgan. My dad graduated from Morgan with his degree in business, but he was in real estate, so he had his own real estate. He was a broker, so he had his own company, real estate company, brokerage company. So I grew up in the suburbs of Baltimore, like I said, single family home. So it was different backgrounds, and I have other siblings. I have two brothers and a sister, but I grew up as the only child in the house.
That part makes sense. Mm. No, seriously though, when you all started dating, obviously the intentions grew. At what point in time did you all start having these conversations about finances? Like, did you see where that you all were going to end up where you are today? Like, kind of walk me through how you started having those conversations.
We actually started having those conversations before we even started dating, to be honest.
Okay.
Nick was very, he understood what he wanted. And I'm say that to the point of he understood where he wanted to be and who he wanted to be with him by his side. And so before I mean, we were friends and we were sitting. I remember sitting in the office, or at least standing in the office talking, and he came into me and he said, Leah, I'm thinking about some names of the company that I'm going to own. I'm going to try to figure out a business name. What do you think about, was it AJW? Was it
AJW.
No, that
that?
was
No, it
before
wasn't.
then. That
It
was
was
way
before then.
before then. Yeah.
It was some name. Let's just say that. Just like Abrams and Company or something like that. And I looked at him and I was like, I mean, that sounds like a question for a wife. And he's just like, well, I respect your opinion and I think that you'll give me great feedback. And I was like, oh, okay. But that's really where we started, at least talking about finance, because at that point I knew that his mindset was moving, going to a place. And he said, I'm broke now, and I'm trying to find my wife while I'm broke, so that when I have money, I will not have to worry about her loving me for the money. Is for the fact that we have mutual understanding about where we're trying to go and our goals. And that's really where it started. It started there.
That's a gem that we're going to circle back to because, and Nick and I have talked about this before, and I'm sure that there's one gender that's going to be in the chat that can relate to this, where you're loved by what you produce. So we'll circle back to that, but we're going to go along with the storyline path, right? So Nick and I jokingly say all entrepreneurs are crazy. You have to be in a sense, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
in chat, let us know if you all have ever had thoughts of starting your own business, whether you own your own business. Let us know. Leah, when he told you he was broke and he had all these dreams, be honest. What went through your mind at that time, and how much patience did you have for him?
So, so, so even though I won't say that he was broke, but we were financially kind of in the same place. It was the point of the fact that I saw his drive. So we were what, 25 years old, 24 years old, and on a Sunday, he and I would be in the office. Now, I didn't know he was coming in there, right? I worked on Sundays because I worship on Saturdays. So I wanted to go to church on Saturday. and he went to church on Sunday, and he came in the office after he went to church. So I would already be there, and and somebody would come in the office. I'm like, who is coming in the office this Sunday at like what 1 o'clock? And it would be him. And it's just him and I. He on his cubicle, I'm on my cubicle, and we were both doing work. Like, and everybody's like, y'all know y'all were doing. Like, no, he was over there working. I was over there working, and it was because I saw that drive that I already knew that he was going to do what he wanted. He was going to go where he needed to go to without any cost. And so I said, okay, I can see that. So it didn't matter that he didn't have any money. It's because I saw the drive. I saw what he was doing outside. There was nobody around him for him to showboat and say, yeah, no, I'm in the office on a Sunday after church working. Yeah,
He's still like that
he is.
to an extent. He jokingly said, "I'm the last one to leave, the first one in." But he
Hey,
on
got,
Eastern
got to
Standard
be.
Time, so don't
You
think he's the
got to
only
be.
person working.
You know,
Uh,
that's the thing though, when you talk about entrepreneurship, it is, when I first became a financial advisor, I was working for a company at the time it was called American Express Financial Advisors. It's now called Ameriprise. And our work schedule, mandatory work schedule was Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday, 9 to 7, and then Saturday, 9 to 12. And then unmandatory time was sometimes we were in there as advisors on Sunday. So that was a work schedule that stuck with me. I worked that schedule for about probably 10, 15 years consistently. So that was just how I was programmed and at that time.
let's stick a pin on that, Nick. So, did you have someone in particular that set this example? So, this drive that you had, this person that you knew that you wanted to be, was that your idea, or did you get that from someone else?
I think I always had it. I've always liked nice things. I enjoyed so sort of a background. Growing up, I had a lot of nice things. My parents, like I said, we were in the neighborhood. They were one of the first blacks in the neighborhood. Both of them drove Cadillacs. We always went to nice places. Our house was sort of the party house. What happened? My father had a bad accident. Subsequently, he lost his business because he was out of work for a period of time, and we lost a lot of that. So my drive was always that I wanted, and they did get it back. So I saw them kind of go through where we saw cars getting repossessed, went through all of that, but I saw them fight their way back through it, and man, it's like he said, he always kept saying, "I'm gonna make my comeback," and he did. So I guess I kind of saw that, and that was always my drive. My thing has always been, I really don't want to lose it, um, but to get it and keep it. But we've had our challenges in that, so it's that was my drive, and seeing that, and seeing my parents go through that, having it, not having it, getting it back to get back again really kept me motivated and always does keep me motivated, as far as some other things to keep me motivated as well.
Got it. Okay. And thank you for sharing that. And then, Leah, I'll ask you this question, and Nick, you can chime in Leah, if you want him to chime in, you can. So just kind of hearing that background, knowing that, hey, this is the standard that you have for yourself as a man, and just communicating your desires of who you want to be to Leah. We all know everybody in chat who's ever had to take somebody on a date more than once. Sometimes your priorities start to contest one another. It's like, I would love to do this nice thing for you, but there are sacrifices that need to be made along the way. So, Leah, from your perspective, how did you all, or really, how did you manage these expectations of where you want to be later on with the sacrifices that you were going through on a day-to-day basis? Like, how did you work through that internally?
So because it's again, so I think probably this is probably the one of the ways that Nick and I match, or we match each other, is because of the way I grew up. I know how to make adjustments to where we need to be if in the meantime until we get to where we need to get to, right? He's had a lot of luxury and taken away and then luxury back. We were mainly at a, you know, a moderate, lifestyle where we couldn't have everything we wanted. So we got what we needed. And so while we were struggling sometimes with entrepreneurship, I knew to try to keep him calm in the things that we just needed, and then just keep pressing him and encouraging him to make sure that we still move and identify goals to get where we wanted, but still keeping him grounded in what we needed, because I just knew how to be there in that space. It was harder for him. So I felt like that was my role, is to make sure to keep him level headed and just always keeping him focused on where we needed to go. It's okay where we are. We're not hurt, but this is where we can manage, and then we'll move. So, and that's the way I felt like I've managed it.
Yeah. And I remember our first date. I was like, I don't have no money. I got a little bit of money. So I think we wound up splitting that
Oh,
bill.
we went to the Zanzibar.
Yeah. I think I bought a drink, and she bought a drink.
Yeah, yeah, and we danced, and that was good enough.
Yeah.
We have a question in the chat for you. So, Leah, we appreciate you sharing how it began. The question is, how does she still maintain that drive after kids? Because women out here nowadays are trying to be stay-at-home mom after they have children.
Yeah, that's a big thing, right? That's probably the hardest thing as a female, as a woman entrepreneur, as a mother, as a wife, and then as a person, as Leah, right?
Mhm.
That's an everyday struggle. So I can tell you what we had to do, right?
Mhm.
I had to get a nanny, um, uh, for a period of time. It was nothing else we could do. Like the work schedule that we had to. First of all, you already heard Nick's work schedule, right? And he did not make those changes when those kids came, okay? But I understood, where he was going. He was already 5 years into his business, and I saw where it was in 2009 to where it was 5 years later. And so even though it was really, really hard with having the kids, and we only had one son at the time, I understood where he needed to be. So I used my resource. I used my village a lot, right? Well, our village. I used our village a lot. And when it seemed like it was getting to be too much for the village, even though the village didn't say, no, you don't have, I felt that we needed support. Well, I kept asking Nick, don't you want to come home and help? And he said, you need to go get a nanny. I mean, he was honest about that, and I appreciate it. And I had to sit with myself to say, okay, it's okay that I have this nanny. She's not going to take my role as a mother away. And I had to forgive myself, right? I had to forgive myself for saying I needed help, and that it is okay to have this nanny, who actually we call her our daughter. And
Yeah.
we love her absolutely to this day. And the boys love her like that's their sister. And so what it did was it opened my eyes to another part of a village that I didn't know to tap into without Nick saying, you need to go get this person. And that's how I maintained, and that's how we were able. That's what happened. She was there. I was able to work a little later, or I was able to get food or do whatever we needed to do while she was handling the kids. And so that was the biggest thing for me. That I think that really helped us,
Yeah.
for a period of time.
Okay. And that's important to know because I never even knew you all had a nanny, to be honest with you. You all have done a great job raising two wonderful young, they're under 18 audience, but these are grown men in little kids' bodies. One of them is built like an NFL linebacker, but it's one of the sweetest kids you ever meet. The other one is the fifth member of 112. That boy dances, he does everything. Now, you all mentioned the village, right? And so when you're married, a lot lot of times what newlyweds and some people even past the first couple of years, what they struggle with is bringing two completely separate lives together, but also two different villages. And so that can be a huge burden for some. I know that the top two causes of divorces are money and sex, but sometimes it's family.
Yeah.
How have you all, over the years, with coming from separate backgrounds, having your own aspirations, both of you are very driven as people, both of you are outspoken. How have you all learned how to build that bubble with family?
So Leah is a little different. She's more lovable, kind.
What?
I'm
You
like,
don't
it is
say.
what it is. I mean, whatever. I have grown to love my in-laws. They are the sweetest, nicest people. I was probably the biggest challenge in the beginning. That's just how I am. I'm a little difficult to deal with. So, but I
Okay.
think as you know, things just have happened. They've come together, so our family blends in well now. It just took some time to getting to know each other, and as you just kind of progress through things, it has turned out to be a good thing. But like I said, Leah just kind of went right in. It was like, "Hey, it's Leah. I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. Love you all. You're the best. You love me." I was just like, yeah, yeah. And also state Leah has a twin sister, and at the time her twin sister was living with her, so that was kind of navigating that whole process was a little interesting, but we got through that. Um,
I can see where that could cause some complications.
yeah. She's a sweetheart. You gotta love her, but
So, yeah,
Hilarious.
I understand.
It's all good. I mean, he's not wrong, right? He's not wrong. It was Nick is Nick can be a little challenging, and so and I do have a huge heart. So I think part of it that helps us is that I think we keep our families. I don't want to say it to be mean like this, but we keep the families in their place and not we don't allow them to come and interfere in our family, right? It's our family, but it's still the functionality of what we do as Nick T. Abrams and family does. And so we love each other, we love our families, but we also know that we are not going to allow outside distractions to distract what we need to do as a family.
yeah.
So,
I love
And
it.
my family knows I'm gonna do what I want when I want, so they don't even come to me. They'll go to Leah first with foolishness. They don't won't even bring it to me. So that is, that's just how it is.
mhm.
Absolutely. We have another question, and everyone in chat, let us know if you get along with your significant other, or even if it's just what you do on the weekends. If you get along with their family, let us know in chat. But the question is, how do men who don't come with the village make up for the lack thereof?
Oh,
Nick,
that's a tough.
let
Go.
me jump in on that one, Nick. Um, I'm gonna say that being intentional of finding a community that if you could choose a family member, that's something that as a man that something I had to personally do. And I have a village, but where I wanted to go, I didn't have an example of that. And I hate giving him compliments because he gonna hold on to this for the next 30 days. Nick was a part of that village for me. I actually used to be Nick's client, and he used to push me about walking away from my former career path. And he's like, "You're never gonna get to the lifestyle you want working hard for somebody else." And come to find out, Nick, if you don't mind, I'm a flex for you. Nicholas is a prodigy of the first black CFP ever. And so having that lineage helped. And then, once we met Leah, Leah tells me great advice all the time about how to be a better husband and stuff like that. And so my answer would be if you don't have a village, make one. And then you can actually go back to your village. Your family ain't always perfect or whatever have you. You can teach them some things, and the next thing you know, you're the chief of the village. So that would be my answer. Sorry, I'm answering y'all stuff, but
That was a great answer.
Yeah. I think your village though doesn't have to be family, it can be friends.
mhm.
You know, so I know a lot of people, but my inner circle has always been really small and tight. So, Leah had a couple villages she had to deal with. She had the family village, and then she had the tight friend village. One friend who I've been friends with since um, second grade, gave her the blues at first. But, we all are really good friends now.
Good. Good. We have
Yeah.
a few comments. Mrs. Liptrot said no comment. Mrs. Liptrot is also a huge part of my village. It's been a great inspiration to me. Also gives me some great advice on being a better husband. My wife said her in-laws are great. Thank you, baby. I like my in-laws too, so that was a blessing. We have another question for you two from the chat. Did either of you have a mentor? Dang, I'm sorry, Nick. I gave yours away. You have to find another one, but I got somebody in mind. Did either of you have a mentor that helped guide you along the way? If so, how did you connect or meet with them?
So, I've had several mentors, kind of personal and business. On the business side, there's a gentleman, Roderick Liptrot. We have worked together since 2001. Side note, I think I'm the only person that can stand him long enough to be around him.
No, that's my guy. Well,
You
Nick,
haven't been around him that long.
no, I just want to do a shameless plug. Mrs. Liptrot, if we can get Roderick on here, that would be great. Tell him it's
No,
social
we
media,
don't
it's
need
a
him on
podcast. We
there.
know it's a stretch, but we want to get him on here too.
So he was kind of I met Lip kind of a little bit before I met Lee. I met Lip in early 2001, met Leah in September 2001. That was really one. There have been other people that have kind of guided me through the way. A good friend of my parents, he passed away subsequently a couple weeks after my dad died. He served as a mentor. For business standpoint, guy, LeCount Davis was the first African American certified financial planner, has been a mentor. So I've had several people in my life. But also seeing, my parents, how their relationship was over the years, going through good and bad times, kind of help guide and shape things as well.
All right, thank you.
For me, I think this question is sometimes a little harder for me, but I do believe that when I guess my first kind of mentor was Monique Booker. It was just at Anderson. She's now currently at SB and Company, and we're still friends to this day. I still talk. She says I can call her even though she's really really busy. That's the hard thing sometimes I feel like in public accounting. But I remember taking a class or taking somewhere, and they said you have to be intentional about who you're trying to target for your mentorship, and you need to know that it's a give and take. Um, I also believe that Alicia Foster at Abrams Foster Nolan Williams was my mentor. She allowed me to she being at Abrams made me know or feel empowered to know that I could run my own business. Um, I, being at a big firm, it's kind of hard because you sometimes only get one piece of it. But being at a smaller firm, which was a minority firm, still in existence, um, has been was very instrumental in me knowing or saying thinking that I could do it, and had the encouragement to do it. I went from being a staff auditor, just talking to my senior about the work that I was doing to being a manager, talking to CFOs and CEOs and executive directors, and being confident in how I was presenting. So it was very helpful. And also, I would say that I think my mentor is still to this day is Gerald Abrams, which is Nick's uncle. He's still part of the firm of Abrams, Foster, Nolan, Williams. I can call him at any time and he answers my questions, or we can talk about a tax strategy or something, because he still has more knowledge, than me, more experience. And I absolutely appreciate him. If he, and I try to say it as much as I can, and I take him out to lunch, but he was very instrumental for me. So all of those three people.
All right. Well, I love that. Each one teach one. Now we're getting to the second half of the interview, so we're gonna go ahead and let our hair down and have a few more fun questions now. Now we got all the professional stuff out the way and they know who you are. First thing, and I appreciate all the positivity, but we're here to have a safe space and be real because that's what people need,
All
right?
right.
What is the stupidest fight you all have ever had with one another over money?
Oh Lord.
So I can tell
Oh,
you
that
one
was
because
quick.
I know Nick, right?
That was-
I can tell you one, and Nick he probably won't remember. He may remember, but we just got married, and um, and I had suggested, right? We had separate accounts at the time, and I had suggested to him. I said, I think we should combine our funds into one account, right? And I didn't say just one account only, and like you couldn't have a separate account. I just said one account because I think that we can, make sure we look at our finances, pay the bills, and see, how this can work with being able to save and things of that nature. And he was just like, "No, this is my account. You can have your account. I'm have my account." I was like, "Okay." So a couple of months later, a friend of mine was asking to buy Cutco knives, right? So if anybody know about Cutco knives, they're really expensive, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy some Cutco knives. Now, keep in mind, the Cutco knives is for what, Delante? The house. It's not for me. It's for the house. He found out about them Cutco knives. He had a whole fit and a half. Them Cutco knives, $800, and blah 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 blah. And yes, $800.
Back in
800
Back in
2000.
2005.
So that's before
2005.
inflation.
Yes, 2005.
Leah, you know I don't do
And
this
he
all.
had
I gotta side with Nick on
Right.
oh,
that one.
oh no. Listen, no, it
Right.
was for the house. I was trying to, I felt like this was for the house. We should, because we ain't had no good knives. I wasn't like good knives. So he had a whole fit about the knives. You want to take them knives back? And so I was just like, really? And then the next day, because he had so about chargebacks, right?
Hmm.
He had a chargeback. Do you know he asked me for $3,000? And I said, oh, wait. I said, first of all, when I bought them knives for $800, this was for out of my pocket. I was like, I'm a grown woman. I can buy my knives because I work my job and I can do whatever I feel like I need to do with this money. Since it's my money, your money over there, my money over here. And it wasn't even buying it for myself. So he was like, I think we should change and have joint account and all the things. I was just like, mm-hmm. Because he done took $3,000 he had to charge back. He had to cover his stuff. So yeah, I feel like that was the dumbest argument we had because it was over some knives.
Well, I got another one. Something else
Wait,
she brought.
wait, Nick. Before you go, I gotta explain to our audience what a chargeback is. So when you work in the financial services industry, sometimes the commissions are paid in advance, and if the person doesn't pay, then the agent or the advisor is liable for those. So what Leah was basically saying is that Nick needed to borrow some money in a jam after she bought some $800 knives. So
Right.
everybody was right. Everybody was right.
Right.
Everybody
In
was wrong.
2005, $800 knives.
Do y'all still have the knives? I just gotta
Oh,
ask.
Yes, we
Oh,
do. Yes, we do.
you never bought those knives. We bought some later.
Oh yeah, we
okay.
did.
Wait, I
Yeah.
didn't.
We did.
I didn't come to start an argument. We just playing. We just playing.
Knives.
We just playing.
No, I
Oh,
forgot we did buy
and
some
Mrs.
later.
Lip,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try. I do see you coming. We'll hop you in a second. Nick, go ahead.
No, I was going to say one. She bought me some very nice cufflinks, I think one Father's Day. They were David Yurman cufflinks. However, we were broke. And so I took a picture of the cufflinks and I made her take them back to the store. And she was heated.
I was pissed.
I was like, look, we will in time be able to get David Yurman. This is not the time for David Yurman. Take them things back.
You did.
Well, I will say you have some monogram cufflinks now, though, so it all worked. It all worked out.
And we have David
Yeah,
Yurman now, so it
see,
all's good. Got plenty of it. So it worked
it
out.
all worked out. Second question that I have for you all. Now, you all been married for how long now?
19
19.
years.
Y'all been through some changes?
Uh,
All right. So, one of the things that newlyweds, we've been hearing from anybody who's made it past that 15, 20-year mark is the 7-year itch. If you married in the chat and the 7-year itch is real, please let us know. Let us know your experience. So when you all were going through your changes, I don't know if it was in that same bubble of time, what got you through? What about your partner did you focus on to get you through it?
so interestingly enough, the 7 year came around the time we had a miscarriage. Um, and Leah was 6 months pregnant. It was a little girl. And so once again, we're two separate people. We handle things differently. I kind of go into my corner and kind of deal with it. She needed something different, and I'm stuck in my little bubble, kind of dealing with it. And we had Nicholas at the time, so he was maybe 4 or 5 uh, at the time. So my focus kind of went, okay, we got a child. We just gonna focus in on him. Um, Hers was different. So that was one of the rough times that I think kind of changed both of us going through that. For me, never even thought anything like that could ever happen. That was never something that crossed my mind. I'm the thinker, so I kind of look at all different scenarios. That was just not one of them. It kind of came, and there were several kind of other things. I was in a real bad car accident, like maybe the week or two before that, um, with Nicholas in the car. We were both, car was totaled, but we both came out fine pretty much. So it was just kind of that period, and it was some other things. Money was still not where it should be, so kind of dealing with that. Also thinking another child is coming. How do we manage that? And so all of that just kind of hit me. And so when stuff like that happens, like I go in my corner and kind of process and deal. But you got two different people, everybody deals with things differently. So I think that was probably one of the hardest times that we went through.
Max, how you got through it? Like, what did you focus on to find your way back to each other, even though you all went into separate
Well,
mental spaces at that point in time?
I don't know. I think we were
That took a
probably
while. It
too
took a
broke
little
to
while.
leave. We had a house we were underwater in, so couldn't wasn't no breaking up selling that. Um, I think I don't know how we did get
I
through that.
I I think I think what I had to do was heal myself first, and then understand how he needed to be healed. And that was hard. That took a long time
Mm.
because I was angry. And he just he just didn't get it. He didn't get it. And so the caseworkers at the hospital I talked to a lot to heal me,
Mm.
for me to understand that to understand that where we were or where I was, that it was okay. Wherever stage I was in, it was okay. Angry, sad, happy, crying, it was okay. Like I had to understand that because it was a blur of a thoughts of I just didn't have a thought. I didn't know a thought. I didn't feel a thought. I didn't hear a thought. And and it was just hard to do that when I was looking for Nick to help me with it and he couldn't. And so I had to heal me first, and then they helped me to understand how he needed to heal. And so I think that's the biggest part, I think, for our relationship that we do try to do is understand what what the one individual needs to then to be have a clear head, then to understand what my partner needs. Because if I'm broken, I can't hear what he's probably trying to tell me. And so I need to kind of get clear first, then I can then probably hear. And so I think we just took time sometimes to be around each other, even though we didn't probably want to be around each other, but we still tried. I think we did focus a lot with the kids, and I mean, so Nicholas he asked a lot of questions, so he also helped us to heal a little bit because he asked where's my baby sister, and how come she's not here, and where is she? And so all of those questions, we had to get those questions sometimes daily, sometimes monthly, sometimes every now and then. And so we had to talk about it. Um, and again, I just think that it just took time, right? I think we allowed it. I think we allowed time to heal us. And that I think that's the only thing we could ask for was that time. And I think we just gave it up to God mostly
Yeah.
to just ask for clarity and understanding. Yeah. It was a rough time. It was a rough time.
I bet. Are you all happy that you saw it through?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're stronger for it.
Oh yeah.
I think I think we I think we I think we understand better how to be there for each other. And then we also understand that even though it's not my way, right, it's still what he needs or what she needs. Um, and I think we make efforts to try to be there in the best way we can, right? I definitely feel that. I think we make the effort, right? And no matter how it looks, right? No matter how it looks, we make the effort. And I think that's that time to reflect and that time that we had to really listen to what was going on helped us to be better for it now, for sure.
Love to hear that. You all brought up little Nicholas. He ain't little, but little Nick. So I want to ask a question. We got a few more minutes. Well, two questions regarding Nick and Aiden. First question is, how do you all have conversations about tough topics as far as like, I'll just say estate planning. If something were to happen to you, like, well, you know what? This is a safe space. We're going to just sit. How do you all talk about death? How do you all talk about, a contingency plan and how to involve your children? What are some of the conversations that you all have had?
I don't know if we've had conversations per se. What I have said to Nicholas, you and I when we went to Greece. Was it
Th-
last?
3 years
No,
ago?
2 years
2 years
ago.
ago.
We went to Greece, and I told him there's a binder in the den in the house. If something happens, you got to go get the binder. Just let them know that's where everything is. And so got our estate plan done a couple years ago. So everything is in that binder to do that, and really looking at the life insurance. I haven't told him the numbers on the life insurance. All that is spelled out, the way the investment accounts are and everything, and who's supposed to take care of them. So all of that stuff is in there. But the big thing that helps us, with that is knowing that, hey, if something happens to us, they are multimillionaires. They're well taken care of because of the life insurance that we have. So they're in good standing there. So Nicholas is just he was like, okay, kind of brushed it off. Um, Now, if we had that conversation with Aiden probably would want to get into the numbers. So how much? Where is it?
And question, Nick, because people come in for the financial aspect of things too. They're both under 18, so who owns the life insurance policy?
So we own it. The trust is the beneficiary of it.
Got it.
And so
Okay.
the death benefit pays out to the trust, and from there are people who are there to administer the trust and are supposed to provide for them for their maintenance and well-being.
So like Ghost and Tariq on Power. For the got it. Leah, Leah, how about you?
Oh, no, I mean, that's what we've done. Oh, as far as second death. Okay, I'm sorry. So I would say that Nick probably talks more about the finance side, and I'm going to talk about more of the mental side, like understanding death, right? So
Mm.
um, that's the thing I think Aiden has had some trouble with, but he's getting better as he's getting older. But what we try to make sure that they understand is that I think we've told them would who should get them if something happens to us. I feel like we at least told Nicholas, but we just try to make sure that they understand that whatever they receive, they can't be frivolous. That we have stipulations in there with regards to education. um, they have to go to school, and they have to do, there's certain stipulations we put in the estate plan. And and Nicholas at least knows that they can't be frivolous. But we talk about money in our family
Yeah.
all the time. And they know that they need to have an understanding about finances. And then if something happens to us, that they'll be okay and taken care of.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Last question, and we're going to open it up to the audience. You all have been a resource to my wife and I, and a resource to quite a lot of people, clients, friends, family. What are some resources that our audience can go to get better with their finances with their partners, or to have these types of conversations in a safe space?
Oh,
I would say a couple things. One, of course, always get a good financial planner to help navigate that. That's what we do, Delante, really helping clients navigate that. A lot of prayer is important. Um, there's a lot of understanding that has to happen. As I said, people kind of get into relationships and think it's all going to be smooth sailing. Understanding though that mistakes are going to be made. And we've made tons of mistakes. We've had money, we've lost money, we've got money again. But just understanding that the is going to throw those challenges to you. I would say for me, so I don't, and so it's weird. I don't read the traditional finance books. I like more of the autobiography. So I will pick somebody. There's a gentleman, Reginald Lewis. Why Should White Boys Have All the Fun? I love
Same,
that book. I
same.
do that. There's certain things I will look at on YouTube. There's a video that I play a lot that has Maverick Carter interviews Magic Johnson, and just talking about the finances from a different perspective there. I will do that. There's a lot of stuff out there that's a good and bad thing. I would say for people who are out there listening or watching, make sure the people who you listen to really are living what they're saying. So many times I've run into people and they're talking about they're giving financial advice to people. I'm like, how? You ain't got no money. How are you giving financial advice? And there's so many people doing that, and they're listening to people, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're listening to this person who has no idea. But so I'd say, find people who are successful
Mhm.
and follow what they are doing. I think that is the best advice. I mean, you can read all the books. The books are going to tell you one thing. Life will tell you something totally different. Because you can't find life in the book. You can't. And everybody's life is different. Everybody's story, everybody's journey is different.
That's real.
yeah. And I would say, like one thing Nick says a lot is surrounding yourself with the people around people that where you're trying to get to, right? So, um, it's I think I met Lip and Kim. what, 22, 21, 20, 22.
21 or 22,
One of
yeah.
them years.
No,
It's
Yeah.
been a long
01,
time.
02, sorry.
Oh, 01, 02. And it was a long time ago. And they lived in Crofton at the time.
Mhm.
And I was like, ooh, this is a nice house. Now I look at it, I'm like, that thing was small. Like, but I love you, Kim. I love you, Kim. Um, but it was like, ooh, and I met Lip, and I was like, oh, they are really nice, and I was like, oh, Nick, and I said this to Nick like a long time ago. I was like, I think probably after we really started dating, I was like, I don't know them very well, but I see them going. I see them being going to places. I was like, you should stay around him a lot. I said, you should see if he can mentor you, or you should just stay around him because it seems like he's going to push you to where you need to go. And so we try to surround ourselves with people that will push us further than what we're thinking, right? And push us into where we want to be, or push us further than we think we want to be. Like we want people in our space that's going to push us. I don't need nobody to make me be stay in the same place, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm not changing, and we're not changing. But we want someone that's going to make us the challenges, right? The boys, and the thing about it is, we never thought, well, we didn't know if the boys was watching, but they watch. They watch us all the time. The conversations that we have at the table it amazes us. And we're like, oh wow, they are really watching. And so if they see us pushing and moving forward and trying to make sure our space that we have people around us that's doing the same, then they're going to follow that same path. They're going to follow that same path. And that's one of the things that we want. And we want the same thing for our clients. We want to push our clients to move outside of their comfort zone, because we see the potential in them, and we like, you can move further. So that's how we look at it.
Thank you so much for sharing. This has been an invaluable conversation. I hope that the people who are in the audience take this, and there are a lot of nuggets here. I'll clip up some of them, but you got to watch everything. We have a few more minutes, and we also have someone that we've spoken about quite a few times. They're actually in the waiting room. So I want to bring them in. I want to let them know in advance. We literally have less than 90 seconds so that I can go ahead and post this to Instagram. So any other questions, forgive us in advance. We'll handle them in the DM. Very grateful for the two of you and the relationship that we have. Also grateful for this person that's hopping in now. Also, if you're in the audience and you are not ready to have a conversation with the financial planner, CPA, you don't have an audience, you just want to talk to your partner, this is not someone who's a sponsor of us yet. You might want to look at the Honeydew app. It allows you to unite your finances with your partner. They are not our sponsors, but that's going to be the very last time I mention them for free. So if anybody's watching, go ahead, send this to them. And oh, never mind. He would change his mind. All right, we do have time for questions.
All right. I
Um,
saw somebody that had a question.
yeah. Oh, we know this person very well, but cultured book gal. What are questions a single person should ask during dates that ensures healthy financial habits and values? Ooh, you would ask that
Ooh,
at the end. I
ooh.
think the real question of what are your 5-year goals? I think that's a real question that people should ask and stick to. And if it
You
sounds too good, if it sounds like cap, it is.
Man, when I was dating, I hated questions like that.
know,
I'll tell this story. Kimberly, so long time ago, Kimberly Liptrot, who's on here, introduced me to somebody, one of her coworkers at the time, and they asked me that person. I looked at them like they were crazy. You don't even know what my goals are for 5 years. Now we were just early on in the dating stage at that time, it was way before I met Leah. But I will say I used to hate those questions because you're none of your business. You don't need to know where I'm going at. Just enjoy. We will progress to that. But I will say, look how people handle their money. If you know somebody works at a certain place, you can kind of guess how much money they make. And you can kind of see, okay, if you're going to the finest restaurants and you know that they are working down at the plant somewhere. And they might be overspending so that, overcompensated. You can look at somebody and see if they've got designer on everything. Um, Shoes, belt, clothes has got designer labels on there. And hey, they just getting started. You kind of can get a feel about where they are financially, and what their priorities are. So I would say honesty is very important in that. But just kind of, if you stick around long enough and you actually listen, you'll find out the truth.
Nick was a very, very good listener, and he knew I was not a person that spend a lot of money. Even though I got those $800 knots, I still was not the person that spent a lot of money. But he's right, right? If you observe the people or the person that's around you, right? Just instead of one thing that Nick said to me was I used to ask him all kinds of hypothetical questions. He couldn't stand it. So if something happened, what would you do? And he would be like, just be with me. Just hang out with me and learn who I am by being with me. And that's what he would say. And so he uses his observation more than his words. Not always great at times, all the time, but he still uses it. And it made sense because I learned so much about him and who he was and how he spent things, words, money, by observation. And likewise, he saw that from me. So that's what I would say is spend time with that person, see what they're doing, observe what they're doing, what they're spending, and you'll know what type of person they are financially and if you can deal with it.
I think that's great advice. My wife said, "Thank you for sharing. Y'all are amazing." I'm not going to read that last part. I will not admit
Really,
that.
Jasmine?
I will not admit that. But but seriously though, very grateful for you all. Appreciate the time. Audience, I hope that they've added value to you. If you have more questions or you want to spend more time getting to know them, feel free to reach out to them directly or reach out to me and I'll share their information. They are available for business if you want to go ahead and scale yours. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and give you all some time back. Enjoy your evenings. Thank you for joining this episode of Modern
All
Matrimoney.
right, thank you, Delante.
Thank you.
Thank you.